and good evening to Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms. This is Raph streaming to you live high above the keep in the hot air balloon. Tonight, as always, I have Neindorf with me. Neindorf, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing all right. I will say, as much as I love our intro music, I'm getting a little bit of FOMO sitting next to seeing Sergeant McNasty here in chat with his most recent intro video. And of course, we have our special guest tonight, iOS Code. How are you?
Hey, doing good. Good to be with you guys.
All right, excellent. Well, let's start with a question of the day. Then I want to go to Dev Dive and spend a lot of time there because you guys are both devs. So, Neindorf, what do you have for question of the day?
Well, which one of you guys decided to buy 50,000 tiers this afternoon? Sorry, I'm kind of a market degen, and I was watching the market price of tiers, and all of a sudden it jumped like just sky high this afternoon. I looked it up, and yeah, someone bought 3,000 jewel worth of tiers, basically.
3,000 jewel worth of tears. Yeah, who was that? Do you have any
Wow.
idea of who it was?
I didn't dig deeper. I hurried up and sold some real quick to ride the peak and then bought them right back when it kind of normalized a little bit.
Sure thing. Sure thing. Yeah, I'm in the business of buying a few tiers. Not quite that many yet, but on my way.
Yeah, you're getting there.
Yeah, all right. So, question of the day. Well, yeah, we got that. Are you buying any tiers right now, iOS code?
Nope, I'm still on the tier selling train, keeping as little as I can. Yeah, I don't know if people are kind of speculating that pets are coming soon or something, but I really don't think so. I think we still got a while to go, at least a couple weeks. It's been made pretty clear that green pets, green eggs, and pets are going to be coming together with the Profession 10 level quests, which, as you can tell from the spreadsheet, are not approaching ready.
Not
Yeah,
well.
that's a
That's
good point. I forgot all about that sheet.
Yeah. I kind of stopped watching it after it. It wasn't very exciting. Didn't move very fast.
Yeah,
Fast
it
enough for
was it
me.
was dead for at least 3 weeks,
Yeah.
and
All
then out
right.
of nowhere they posted green egg pet art done.
That's been
Nice.
done for a while though. I think that was done back at DC Miami. Cause like Kels brought back a whole bunch of ADFK. Kels brought back a whole bunch of pictures on his phone of that, and I know Second Best Dad had that done a while ago. So maybe their recording on the spreadsheets lagging real life too.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, they were obviously well underway, during that time, but yeah, maybe who knows? They also got that new ultra rare
Oh
pet
yeah, the
idea,
the secret
and
variants. Yeah, that's true.
so
Right.
Had to squeeze that in at the last moment.
probably.
So I
Let's
was sitting
Speaking of
down for
pet.
dinner with Second Best Dad, and he had just flown in to Minneapolis the night before, and he showed us this picture of like some pet conglomeration thing, and he said, "Yeah, I was sitting next to a lady on the plane, a bit of an older lady, and she was so weirded out by him like drawing on his iPad." That he decided that he was going to draw the weirdest thing that he could think of during the flight, just to give this person a weird story to talk about when they got off. So that's
That's
yeah,
it's a little gift.
he's a lot of fun. That's for sure. Well, Neindorf, you're saying something about pets. Are you in the
Yeah.
market?
Well, I mean, I guess I'm more interested in if we're going to transition to dev dive. I might have a few pet topics to talk to.
Right on, right on. Well, let's go there to dev dive for pet topics, and then we'll get the ADFK dev dive out of the way, and then we'll conduct our formal iOS code interview, which I'm really excited about.
Perfect.
Okay, so
Oh
yeah, what
yeah.
what you working on?
Yeah, if you guys have been following the Discord recently, we did push out an update. So the biggest feature that we had come out with that one is basically pet alerts. So now you can set up basically like the Hero Tavern alerts, but now you can do it for pets as well. And then because of that, we upped the alert limit per day to 40, so you can kind of get more alerts running at the same time. And then to on top of that, I've kind of been using the pet page to kind of sort of relay out parts of the website where some pages are going to join together. It's kind of getting a lot of sub pages, and I kind of want to rein it back in a little bit. And then also I put the pet animations up there, which are pretty cool, which look just like the ones on the cards. And that's sort of related to one of our other super secret projects we're hoping to work on in the future. Kind of, I'm learning a little bit more about how some of these technologies the game's using under the hood. So that's pretty cool too.
And do you have that the pet animation live right now, or is it
Yeah, it should be.
okay?
Pull up one if you've got a page open.
Yeah, I don't have many pets left. I've been selling them off, but let me take a
I
look.
just type a random number in, it'll be good.
Oh yeah, look at that stag bumping. It's ready to go, eating some grass, hanging out. Looks like that's his mating call. That's for sure.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. So what they call them are these are like this is like old school tech, which is what I love. It's funny because the DFK team is mixing, really cutting edge blockchain tech with old school like early 90s sprite sheet technology. I think it's absolutely awesome how they're mixing tech like this together.
Yeah, I love that it's equipable at the first epoch. Um, right? Isn't that what that is? 1970.
Yeah, right.
Unix times zero.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
So yeah,
So,
that
yeah.
we've got some
Anything
other stuff
else?
cooking too, but I don't have some of it's kind of been so a lot of there's been a lot of issues with the hero matching page that you can time out. It's basically a complicated query. And I'm working on a fix. I've got it locally working where basically it'll kind of throw the query in the background and you'll kind of get a spinny widget, and so that we won't get those annoying application timeout errors. So I'm doing my best to work around those. That's just kind of been a hard nut to crack, is I've kind of eked out as much optimization as I can on those queries. So I'm having to go a little deeper. So that'll be coming soon, hopefully.
Something to look forward to, that's for sure. All right. Well, iOS code, you also go by Mellow Green Giant. So
That's right.
give me kind of the breakdown on where did the two names come from?
Um, well, I guess Mellow Green Giant goes way back in time. I don't know if you've ever like went through one of those like icebreaker things where they tell you to like describe yourself in 3 words, and go around the table and do that. Um, but a long time ago, I did that, and those were the 3 words that I came up with. And
I love it.
and yeah, so that's kind of where that comes from. And I I actually hadn't used that for a long time, but I just for some reason I decided to use that when I made my DFK profile, because I really didn't understand, when I was making it the first time. Am I making the name of a character or like my user or what? I didn't even know what I was doing, so I just did that. Um, but then iOS code is something that I have used more regularly. I guess it's a more common handle for me. And I actually made that because it's kind of like a shorthand term for a programming project that I wanted to remind myself to keep working on. And it's actually short for Intelligent Operating System Code. And
Oh,
yeah, that's a whole other rabbit hole that that we
that
don't need to
sounds
go down.
intriguing. We'll
Yeah.
have to chat about that someday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it was basically my naive attempt at AI way back in the day before it was popular.
Uh, yeah, actually, that's you're ahead of the time there. Have you been doing anything AI related when it comes to DeFi Kingdoms right now?
No, no, nothing AI related there. It's more been a big long learning journey for me to learn how to interact with blockchains. So haven't even got to that level with it.
Yeah, I think the closest we've gotten is we've done some art development for our blogs side of the ADFK and Stable Diffusion, and that was when Neindorf introduced me to that. I lost myself for a few hours. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are getting lost in various tools like that lately.
So, how did you find you said you referenced, one of these events where, you're describing yourself. How did you find yourself into the technology industry? Is this something that you've been in for some time, or what drew you to it?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, for me, it's just kind of something I've always had. I mean, I was from the first time that I was introduced to like programming and computers. I think like fifth grade or something. I was in like a basic class, and the first time some older kid, programmed a loop on the Apple for the first time that printed 10,000 wild butt hairs on repeat infinitely. I was hooked. I was like, I got to know how to do that. That's magic. So I've basically been doing programming in one fashion or another since then.
Okay, so what got you into DeFi Kingdoms then?
Yeah, that was like I so I think it was you know in the November of last year. So I was kind of like trying to find different Web3 gaming projects to invest in because it was just I was kind of like getting disillusioned with the whole stocks thing, and I didn't, I kind of try to stay with the concept of invest in what you know, and you'll probably do better.
Hmm.
And I know games, so I started looking at various projects and starting to follow some, and DFK was just one of the ones that appealed to me and I thought would be successful. So that and a couple others I've kind of stuck with.
And so you wrote, and am I remembering this correctly, that you are the author behind Lila's Ledger, which was one of the first grant bounties?
Yeah, yeah, the first and only code bounty that
Yeah.
they did, and yeah, that was pretty much through the month of December in of last year when that was going on and people were developing for that, and I really didn't even understand it. I had just gotten into DFK. I didn't really understand how a liquidity pool worked yet, and so I was kind of learning that and building it at the same time. So. And they had an AMA actually, like with the people that were building the tool, and I like asked a really dumb question about liquidity during that thing, and I think it was pretty obvious that yeah, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I figured it out.
It's kind of funny. Like this game kind of got me into all that as well. I was very unaware of all of that in the crypto space and kind of was looking for a Web3 game. So that's really kind of funny. My journey was very similar, and then through putting together the ADFK site, it's kind of led me to have to learn more and more, and I just absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So you were both kind of learning about the game and the blockchain, and doing this grant at the same time. Why did you think that you could do this? Did you draw on experience from your past life, or what kind of inspired you to take this on?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess I felt confident that I could do it because I've actually I built and ran another website that's kind of like dedicated to a gaming community back in like 2012, and I still maintain it. So I knew that I could learn the blockchain part of it. So I just kind of I saved time by doing the whole platform with something I was really familiar with, and so that I could focus any learning that I had to do just the blockchain interaction part. And I killed myself and spent every last spare moment of time through the month of December pretty much to get it done. But yeah, I barely eked it out.
Well, congratulations. I mean, I think speaking for the community, it's an awesome service, and was absolutely well worth it from our perspective. I hope you feel the same way. And I know that's something that, we started proposing or writing our own proposals for grants. And unfortunately, none of those were able to kind of pull through once we saw the downturn in the market as well. So I think
Yeah,
I know that's something the team wants to get back to. It might be a matter of time. All right.
yeah, for
So,
sure.
Neindorf, I'm going to let you ask a few questions. I'm getting some probably well-earned complaints on YouTube about my audio not being loud enough, and I don't know if I'm using the right mic here. So I'm gonna fiddle around here with my settings while you ask
Sure.
iOS
Yeah. So
some questions.
I've seen you got a new project you've recently released. Maybe Raph, if you could pull that up while you're fiddling around,
I sure
maybe
will.
you could talk to that. I think we got something pretty cool here.
I had to put up my favorite hero on screen, Bjorntar Sternbreeze. I can't not talk, so you guys are just gonna have to crank the volume here.
Deal with
I
Um,
it.
think you're all right now. I'm hearing.
okay, I is it getting better then? I'm kind of
I believe
yelling
so.
more
We'll
too.
post into the chat, folks, if he's still having issues.
There's a
Marco,
variety of opinions.
Marco Polo. All right, well, yeah, tell us about this. I mean, I okay. First off, have you ever played Magic: The Gathering?
Yeah, I've been playing Magic the Gathering since 1994.
So I have not been playing that long. I probably like 97. But
Uh-huh.
I absolutely love it, and that's like, and it wasn't that early on. It was more like I think in the mid 2000s they came up with the new land cards that were like only the mana cards that were like all that land. You know, they didn't have like the artwork at the top.
Oh
They
yeah,
were the entire
Fall
artwork.
Outlands.
Yeah, those I absolutely loved. That's like when I saw this, like that's what I thought of, like the hero in the landscape. I don't know if anyone else is a Magic fan out there. If that kind of was like the what inspired you to highlight the land as much as you did? I feel like that's something that as landholders out there we're a little thankful for.
Yeah, it was just I knew I wanted to like portray the hero in some way, and I really I really liked the duel's background art, and it just seemed like a nice way to portray the hero's biome. To just put his biome behind him and put him in it. You know, um,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, so all right, so walk us through here. You got a lot of options. If you aren't using this, I'm gonna go ahead and drop this URL in the YouTube chat right now, so everyone out there has access to this. Why did, or I guess first off, give us an underlying thoughts on why did you decide to make this?
Yeah, I guess I saw a gap, and I've seen people like ask a lot of times about this kind of information, specifically around the level information and like the PJ results information, and yeah, it's just the all the stuff, all the data's there on the blockchain. It's just really hard to get to. So, just from myself wanting to get at that information and, hearing others, it's just, it seemed like a fun thing to try and do and see what I can make out of it. And, um, yeah, it turned out, turned out to take a while to kind of get the data side of it together. But, yeah, and especially the sales history. I don't know. I'd always found that interesting when it was on the Heroes card, to just see like when it sold and for how much, and that's just hasn't been working. So it's just like
Yeah,
a yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. I mean, we used to have a feature on the 80th K site that was working fine when it was pure Harmony, but it's since fallen apart because of the triple chain. But yeah, I this is no small feat. You have to scrape how many different contracts, three blockchains. You got to maintain it all in the same place. And if I'm not mistaken, uh, parsing old data from Clayton is very difficult because of the limitations the nodes put out there. Is that right?
Yeah, I definitely like I had to develop a special, different method to get the Clayton data and be able to pull that out just because it's a little tricky. And of course, like Harmony is tricky as well, like as far as the time that the team was on Harmony, like the contracts, the way they did the contracts was evolving and changing with the different ways the crystal core worked, and so there's a lot of different ways the events were emitted there. So there's kind of some massaging that had to happen with that as well.
Yeah,
But
that's awesome. I think that this sort of a database is something that I think we had seen people asking for, like you said, and I'm sort of surprised that this didn't make its way into like the GraphQL API that, people are more commonly uh, used to using if you're a dev in the DFK space. I think so. You definitely fill the gap, and that's really cool.
yeah, and what's interesting too is like I think I've seen Mr. Zipper allude to or talk about, that they have some kind of data warehouse that they're working on getting exposed to third-party developers, and it might have this kind of information. I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see when that comes out. Maybe that'll be another resource.
So, question for both of you guys. I saw you guys chatting about this offline. Ninarf, I saw you ask the question, why don't the greater stones show up quite the way that you would expect them to in the summons data?
The greater
Or yeah,
atonement
the
crystals.
atonement crystals in the level up data. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, I'll let you.
Oh, yeah, you mean the stats that they
Yeah.
give? Yeah. Yeah, so and that's true for all the like also the other atonement crystals like the health and mana points don't show up as being added. I think that's I mean the core reason for that is that whenever you analyze a blockchain event, there's like a log that has the information about the results, and the way that they did it, that information just doesn't show up in the log.
Hmm.
So if you wanted to have that information show up, you could probably figure it out, but it would be kind of like another layer of processing that would have to be done to make that happen.
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. When I was attempting and failing to do what you've done here with your site, is basically once you'd parse a log from a level up event, say on a really old, say it was block 1 million, then I would turn around and ask for the hero data at block million one. So you'd get the hero stats, and then you had to do a comparison on what the hero used to be and what they are now. Otherwise, to his point, the data of the NFT changed, but there was no event emitted that you could then go
Mm.
back and listen for. So you had to basically ask for the data before and after in order to do a comparison and actually figure out what happened.
Yeah, exactly. That's well put.
So, what's your
So yeah, that was
favorite?
a fun one.
I'm gonna kind of dumb it down for the rest of the audience here because you guys lost me.
Whoops.
Are we talking Greek yet?
No, that's all right. What's your favorite background? Now that these background, I gotta go back to the background, the art here. I don't know why it's sucking me in, but it is like seeing the forest that I have up on screen right now. Like, I don't know. I love it. I think it's like, it stems from, initially we started playing the game and it was like the nostalgia elements of the game. It sucked us in. And then they revamped the map probably pretty early on, a few months in. And again, once again, it's like, wow, this feels like a game that I want to go live in this world. You get these hero cards, you get attached to these heroes. And now like you're seeing the hero in their element, in their, their biome, as you said. What's your favorite? What's your guys' favorite? Like, I would say
Oof.
desert or forest for me, but that's probably more so related to the heroes that live in those. What do you
Yeah,
guys got?
you're on it right now for me, man. Forest. I mean, there's green in my name, right?
Yeah, shiny
Yeah.
forest too.
Um,
It's real pretty.
I think the city one's kind of cool too. I sometimes that one pulls me. Um, I don't
What?
know. Yeah, it's hard. I focus so much on the heroes that you're right in a sense that that your site actually has given me pause. However, I would say here at my house when I'm looking at them, I see everything. Even on the ADFK site, I see failure to load, SSL errors on all images. So um, that's an issue I've been fighting for 9 months.
How'd you or is that something you guys got to collaborate on offline? And
No, it basically has to do with how the DFK team set up their SSL certificates and servers and things. Because like I've nuked all history. I can see it if I disconnect Wi-Fi and I go on 5G. I just can't. Yeah, I don't know. It's a
so,
it's a lingering problem a lot of people have.
yeah, I think it's related to a specific internet service provider. Someone was telling me about that
Oh, interesting.
in the expert Discord.
hmm.
Oh, that's cool. So yeah, maybe there is something there.
Good luck, Neindorf.
Yeah, I know how pretty it's supposed to look. That's what matters.
Yeah, yeah.
You should. Well, actually, I don't know if that'll work. I wonder if a VPN would work.
Hmm.
Well, so usually I VPN from other places back home, and then I end up wrecking it for myself by doing that.
That's funny. So
Uh,
yeah, VPN somewhere else from home and
yeah,
sync up.
right.
All right. What anything else that I don't mean to like say like what's next or when, but is there anything else that you want to share that you are working on? Or sitting back and taking a victory lap on this?
Um, well, I've after I finished this thing and got it out there, um, I I did chill for a while because it kind of coincided with me finally getting COVID and trying to recover from that.
Yikes!
Um, but shortly after that, I actually had to go back and do some updates on Lila's ledger because um,
It's that time of
yeah,
year.
yeah. Well, there's just a constant struggle with the way that I pull the transaction data for that, where I have to rely on various different API services that, will sometimes just, stop being supported and stop supporting certain chains that I need them to. So, I'm having to switch around on that. But that's kind of died down. And I'm at this point, I have another project that I've been like kind of designing in my head that I want to do. Um, so it's kind of more in the brainstorm phase, but I really want to make kind of some kind of mini game that uses pets. Um, but
Okay,
I'm not sure how I want to do it exactly yet. But it's something that's just brewing in my head at this point.
love it.
I love that idea. And I would say you have definitely have a better style on your site than the utilitarian view that we show to the world.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's thanks to all the art assets that DFK team has already created. Thankfully, I'm not much of a graphic artist, but I was able to take their stuff and use it okay.
I haven't pitched this in a few months, but I'm here to spend all my money on DFK Oregon Trail. So if you can make
Oh,
pets show up in DFK Oregon Trail, like that,
Yeah.
that's what I'm here for.
Shoot
Like,
some blubs.
yeah,
oh, that would
yeah,
be
shoot
crazy.
gloves. I need my heroes to be at risk for dying from dysentery. Yeah, you go out
The
to hunt.
scholar and the banker.
Yeah, you travel down the rivers, avoid the rocks. Like, I mean, break the wagon wheels. It's all there. Like, it's
Yeah.
right for the taking. If someone wants to build that mini game, that's your free
What
million idea, million
one of my
dollar idea.
favorite parts of one of my favorite parts about Oregon Trail was just at the beginning where you like have to buy all your supplies and load up your wagon and stuff.
Right?
And I think that's probably why I'm so hooked on DFK because basically, the part of the game that we have right now is like the character creation part of the game, and that's like my favorite part. So
All right. So it sounds like we're in. We're doing this. We're joint project. DFK Oregon Trail brought to you by Nine
All
Dwarf and
right.
Mellow Giant. I'll just be the pump man.
Uh,
All right, we got Zelf in YouTube chat saying DFK Oregon Trail. So all right, there
that's
we
one
go.
customer.
Yep, I knew it. Yeah, all yeah. Anyone else from our
we've all played
generation,
it.
they're in. I know it. Okay. Anything else you guys want to talk about? DFK related. Otherwise, like I said, we're going to try to keep this to 30, 35, 40 minutes, and we're about there.
Is there any release notes or anything we want to talk about from? I don't know if trying to think if there's anything new and hot off the press that's come out in announcements recently. I'm just trying to page back through them.
I like to just wildly speculate about what's coming up next.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's
Yes.
let's go there.
Here's my theory. A combined release coming up that's going to have three components in it. One, uh, tainted gene reroll. Two, content creator in the castle list. or NPC populated,
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh,
3
sure.
um, blub training, that thing that was leaked, combat alpha.
Yeah. That honestly, I think the community needs something to be excited about again. I think the blub training, while it sounds simplistic, I just think it would be really cool. I mean, it's seeing live action, your heroes being used, by the actual game. It's kind of a turning point, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be wildly fun.
Yeah. So since the last podcast I was on, Bolon gave me the green light to talk about blub training. I take that as
Ooh.
forever the green light to talk about blub training. So I got to go fight blubs when I was up in Minneapolis, and it was incredibly enjoyable. The the skill tree infrastructure was there. You're able to select your moves for your three heroes on your party, and the blubs all had their own moves based on. It seemed like they had their own class essentially. Like the blubs were knights, archers,
Oh,
or
nice.
priests. Um,
Oh, that's cool.
and it was like seeing your guys in action, and again, it's the nostalgic feel, it's the artwork, it's the fit, the function. It's like it feels like part of the game. It's like I'm zooming in on the map and I'm going to a blub training ground. Like that's what it feels like. It's like I'm getting down to ground level, which I think they teased years ago of being able to walk the environment. So much fun. Yes, it was a little glitchy, and I think it's funny, like they all looked at me like with bated breath, like as I was clicking around doing
What's he gonna
things.
say?
What's he gonna say? And I'm like, this is A plus. It has all the ingredients of what we want. And I go back to, this is what I said on the last Sergeant podcast. I had the opportunity to ask Ian from Wisdom Labs, like, why are you making a complicated game, essentially? And I got to tie the reference to Blades of Glory, one of his
Yeah.
movies that he likes, one of the movies that I like. And
That,
I called it the, what was it called? The Iron Lotus. And I was like, why are
Yep.
you doing the Iron Lotus? And he's like, because we can. And I love that answer. I mean, the confidence to come out and say that as your answer is fantastic. Now, the what because they're choosing to do that, they need our help, like the DFK community. Like this is where we come into play. Like we can rally around this and give them the data to help balance this game. I mean, it is undoubtedly complex, probably more complex than I would have built, but I would have been more scared to do this. And so it's our job now to go fight these blubs, go give them the combat data. They're going to start figuring out like how much damage per move are you doing, how much damage per round are you doing, like if you combine these three moves together, like is that overpowered, is that not strong enough? And that's the kind of information that ultimately they're going to use to balance, because we're in pre-alpha still, so that's going to help us balance what becomes the alpha and the beta version of combat.
yeah, it should help a ton.
And it's going to be a lot of fun, no doubt. That's the biggest thing. It's like, I'm just excited to use these cards. I mean, don't get me wrong, Duels is out there, but it doesn't feel like you're using your NFTs, right? They're
No.
there. But I wasn't there, but I assume this feels like you're actually using and playing. Kind of
Yeah.
similar to the vibes we get from Fight Club, except for, this is basically not just Joseph working his tail off. It's a whole crew of people working their tails off.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say very similar to how like you start to get attached to your little guys, your jabronis who are fighting away in Fight Club. I would imagine you feel the same way fighting blubs right off the bat. One thing that I will also say is like you they're going to release version 1 of combat, probably versions 1, 2 and 3 of combat without equipment. Well, every hero will end up getting access to like the level 0 of the item. Like so you'll have the bow if you have a subclass of archer. You'll have the sword if you have a main class of knight, and that will be like the level 0 of equipment. But you can start to see like it's like the image. I think of Diablo, and how you could like see equipment like potentially going on your your helmet, your chest piece, your leggings, your shield, your sword. Those are like the kind of the infrastructure of that's there. I was talking about the equipment and the equipment crafting process, and that's under development. I have no idea what that's going to end up looking like. I know it's a ways down the road, but it was really exciting to see like the start of that. And I also said this on Sergeant's podcast, but it feels like they're really doing things with like they're starting to build like we know we need to deliver something for step 1 and 2 and 3, but we're also building for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 down the road. We're building this incredible game that could be an esport someday. I truly believe it in my heart of hearts. Like one thing that I don't know how much I've talked about it with you guys, but they're building a game to be like esports in terms of the rounds that you play. And so I asked Ian afterwards, and I said, like, how long do you expect a game to go? And he said about 15 total turns, and that would be, it was actually like a range. I think he said like somewhere between 8 and 15 turns. And obviously this was like caveat, still in development, like don't know
Of course.
how long it's going to be. And I thought that was pretty neat because I think that tells us a lot about like if it lasts 15 turns, and that should be around a minute per turn in ranked play. Presumably they'll do like a best 2 out of 3. This is now me recklessly speculating. I think that's going to be really interesting for competitive formats, and I think that it really fits where the direction of esports is going. And like I used to play Pokemon a lot, and then would watch people who are actually good at it. And I thought that they're fitting that mold, and I think that's a very desirable mold to be in. It's tried, it's trusted, it's proven. I think that's a great game length, and I think that's a really exciting thing for them to aspire towards.
Yeah, that's definitely an important thing to get right, is the match the attention span and everything.
Yeah, so I feel like I just went off and ranted for like 7 minutes, but what what do you what do you guys want to know about, or what else do you guys want to talk about when it comes to fighting blubs?
I had a question about did you see any like, so I assume in order to start fighting blubs, you need to pick heroes that have spent their skill points so that they have skills to use. So did you use heroes that already had that selected, or did you see that skill selection process?
I did not see the skill selection process. We started with like level 10 heroes that had like infinite skill points. And so like I think we were using heroes that like were like the equivalent of like level 40 of skills. And so we were dropping some big bomb moves. Again, I think this was like super pre-alpha.
Yeah.
So I did not get a chance to see the hero or the skill. I don't think I did. There might have been a loadout screen that I saw that let you like select it before combat, but I was just like, I just want to get straight to the combat. Sorry, not a very great answer.
Yeah, I guess I just think of that as kind of like probably a lot of work would have to go into like having that be available. And I don't know. I guess it's conceivable that they could just kind of like, fudge it for this pre-alpha without you having to pick skills and just give you some kind of default set. But we'll see.
Well, and I think that brings up a point that I've been interested in a long time. Where do these skill points go and how do we spend them, right? Like, is there a spot on the NFT for what you've chosen? I don't know that the current hero core that we see in the contracts really show anything about how these skill points are accumulating or being used. So that's something that's been on my mind, or maybe this is more of a Web 2 aspect, and it's not actually on chain.
I would guess is it's Web 2, and like you keep a data of like your hero. Although they've talked about it resetting, so you can pay some. I think Ian has said like it was a relatively small fee to reset your skill tree essentially.
I think it's going to be Web3,
Okay.
but they'll probably like create a new separate contract that works with the hero contract that will keep track of the skills.
Right. That makes sense.
I guess I lean towards that just because like the team is always trying to do as much on chain as possible, and that's possible, I think. But at the same time, there's the whole question of like, do you want, do you necessarily want it to be easily discoverable by, you know, to easily discover what skills your opponent has just by looking at the blockchain, or do you want that to be secret, which would have to be in Web 2?
Yeah, well, and they did talk a little bit about, or someone was talking about it, the zero knowledge proofs
Mm,
that they're working on, so that your team and what items you've selected, you basically pre-hash it and submit that. So it's, it's verifiable after the fact that your choices were your choices, but they're still hidden and you can't actually see what your opponent selected.
Mm.
So there's ways think there's a lot of good, really awesome tech out there now that they're working on building in, and I'm pretty sure zero knowledge proofs is one of them.
That could be interesting.
Because
that
yeah,
would
that's a
be
problem that you
awesome.
have with duels right now. Is if you look, you can see what's out there and who their opponent is, and you can technically choose according to that sort of kind of. But yeah, this is a situation where that won't be able to be the case if PvP is going to be awesome. It's got to be, you don't know what you're facing until boom, here it is.
Right, which will create like two strategic aspects. I did ask them about this too. Like, there's the strategy of what you do leading up to the game, like analyzing the meta, building a team, selecting your skills, and then there's the strategy of how do you react in game too? And that's certainly what Duels does not have right now. Where it's like, what am I choosing each turn, and then how do I react to their moves and skills? I think it's going to be a very deep and complex and strategic game.
Us Fight Clubbers might have a little leg up then. I don't know. There's been a lot of practice. Some people have been getting in on Fight Club.
Yeah.
Have you played Fight Club or tried it out yet?
Yeah, yeah. I've it took me a while to get in there, but yeah, I've been in the last couple light heavyweight tournaments too.
Oh, there's so much fun. I don't get in very many of them because I have a hard time finding the time. But it's when I do hop in, so I usually get owned right away. But it's still a ton of fun
For
to
sure. That's
sweat out the games.
Yeah.
the last one I just like got kicked out right away. But in the one before that, I did a little better, and it was kind of fun. I did this combo with the new Legionnaire skill with Dragoon to do a one shot kill. I got to
Oh
get
yeah,
that off a couple times. It was fun.
I
that's
love it.
sweet.
All right. Well, I think that sums us up for the podcast tonight. We will do some summoning probably if we can hit critical mass, which is probably just more than Neindorf and I over on general chat over in the ADFK Discord. I have some questions that I got to ask iOS Code offline. So let's plan on 15 minutes, well, about 20 minutes from now, 10:15 Central Standard Time. So if you're here listening at home, we'll jump over there in about 20 minutes. And hopefully we get a chance to see you guys. Thank you for joining us. Any closing comments, Neindorf?
No, I'm glad to have you on. It's pretty cool. We love to get other members of the community and hope you had fun.
Yeah, iOS Code?
Yeah, yeah, it was great. Thanks for having me on, guys. It was cool to cool to catch up with y'all.
Yeah, thank you much. All right. Take care, community.
Bye, all.